We really have to raise our standards. The bar is set way, way, way too low, and it's just really disappointing. Where's this coming from? At my job, something happened that just made me very sad isn't the right word, but just very like not faithful in the direction that society is going. And it's actually a really minor event. So at my job, there's a little sandwich making deli section. And we can make our own sandwiches, and then there's a little option to have it put into a little toaster thing. So there's a box of foil, and you just put your sandwich on top of the foil, and then the foil into the little toasting machine. It goes through the toaster, and then you get your toasted melty cheese sandwich. Hooray, right? I love that section. There's kimchi, there's daikon, I love daikon, I love kimchi. There's mushrooms, there's all types of things. But what made me really sad is I noticed one day that I had the last sheet of foil. So then I was like, okay, well, I'd better throw away the empty box because it's there. Don't be a scumbag. So then I went to throw it away, and I was walking back to the deli section to finish toasting my sandwich. And then one of the workers came up and said, oh, thank you so much. No one's ever done that before. No one's ever thrown away the garbage? What? How low is your stand? How low do you have to view the human race, just people in general? How does that happen? How can I be the first person to throw away an empty box of just garbage? Like how am I the first person to recycle that? That blew my mind, and it's really sad how like these people, they're well educated. These people, they're smart. They're masters of their field. And to think that no one has thrown away an empty, or like recycled obviously, no one has recycled an empty box of foil just blows my mind. And it's really, I should not be getting praised for this. This is called being a decent human being and cleaning up after yourself. How am I getting praised? How am I getting a thank you for this? This makes no sense. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone. In fact, I'm saying that I'm supposed to be I'm the normal person. What are all these people? How has no one thrown that away? Like, there was a golfer, 1925. His name is Bobby Jones. I forgot what, but then he was in a competition. When you play golf, a lot of it is more or less you're looking after yourself, right? You're keeping yourself in check. So like if you were to cheat or if something were to happen, then you were supposed to jot that down and then keep track of that. And then this person, Bobby Jones, he noticed that when he went to move a branch or something, that the golf ball like moved a little bit. And then in golf, you're supposed to jot that down, and that's supposed to count as an extra mark in your scorecard. So basically you lose an extra point or you gain an extra point, but because golf is you win if you have less points then you lost a point. Basically you set yourself back because you jotted down the fact that you're cheating. Eventually the golfer lost the tournament, not necessarily because he lost by that one mark, but he just lost the tournament. And then eventually paparazzi got wind, and then they were just mind boggled at the fact that he ratted himself out for cheating. And then they went to interview him, and then Bobby Jones says something along the lines of, "You might as well praise me for not robbing a bank." Yet despite this, he was still like plastered all over the news. A lot of paparazzi went to interview him. But if you take a step back, what he says is actually true. When you're playing a sport, you have to show you should show sportsmanship. And then if you realize that you cheated, if you realize that something happened, you should jot that down, right? He noticed that his golf ball moved a little bit, and by the rules of golf, you should jot that down. I'm nowhere close to Bobby Jones in any aspect, but I kind of like relate to him, where it's like, that's like praising someone for if they eat the last chip in a bag and they throw away the bag. That doesn't deserve praise. That's being a normal human being. And the biggest problem I have with this is being a decent human being should be your default. It shouldn't be something that you have to choose whether or not you want to be a decent human. You don't say, oh, it's Wednesday today, today I'm gonna be, let's spin the wheel. Oh, today I guess I should be a decent human being. That's not something you should do. There were a series of social experiments that psychologists planned and laid out in order to test, given certain circumstances and given varying scenarios, how often would people cheat. Every time they were given the option to cheat, and the participants would be encouraged to cheat because they would get money based off of how many points they got correct. There were a lot of scenarios and a lot of experiments, so I'm going to talk about 4 of the social experiments just to kind of outline my point. The first was just the base case of if those participants could not cheat, so they were not given the answer sheet, how many points would they get? This case would be their base case, and it would show, given average human intelligence, what would they score. The next one was, given no previous scenario, just given this person, this participant, they got the answer sheet, how much would they cheat? Then this person would cheat a certain amount. Participants had the choice to buy either a shirt that was an eco-friendly shirt or a shirt that was made through non-eco-friendly means. So just like a normal shirt. The participants that chose that eco-friendly shirt between the two eco-friendly, non-eco-friendly shirt, those participants ended up cheating more than the base cheating case. So what do I conclude from this series of cheating experiments? In my opinion, it kind of shows that when you're given the choice between being basically a good person buying the eco-friendly shirt versus being the bad person buying the non-eco-friendly shirt, then people kind of feel like, okay, I built up karma because I bought this eco-friendly shirt. So now when I go to take the exam where I can cheat, I might as well cheat because I can use up that pre-gained karma. Now going all the way back around, if every day you saw a locked door and then you had to tell yourself, I'm not gonna pick that lock, I'm not gonna pick that lock, I'm not gonna pick that lock. Imagine how much good karma you get for not picking a lock. It's the same thing as if you're on a diet. If throughout the day you're like, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, and then at the very end of the day, you binge eat, you eat a bunch of birthday cake, you eat a bunch of chocolate ice cream, you eat a bunch of Halloween candy, because in your mind, you're saying, well, I skipped breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so I built up karma points or like diet points so that I can eat whatever I want to eat at night. And it's just, when you're... What I'm trying to say is, if your standards are so low, where you have to choose between whether or not you want to be a decent human being, and you are able, and then the fact that you get praise for being a decent human being, then that kind of leads to you giving yourself an excuse to not be a decent human being elsewhere. So I think that right now it's just really disappointing that being a decent human being isn't the default. And at least it doesn't seem like it's a default. From that experience I had at my work lunch place. Again, I'm not virtue signaling. I don't want to be virtue signaling right now. It doesn't make sense that this would even count as being virtue signaling, because it's just being a decent human being. And if we don't have being a decent human being as the default scenario, as the default base case, that just makes not being a decent human being more accepted in society. And I don't like how that's the case. So we need to get back to the point where being a decent human being didn't require you choosing to be a decent human being. It didn't require the willpower to not be a scumbag. If we get to the point where just being normal requires willpower, just walking through the street, I'm not gonna litter. That's a choice. I'm not gonna pick that person's lock. That's a choice. I'm not gonna spit on someone's face. That's a choice. That shouldn't be a choice. That should just be ingrained in your mind to say that this is not the type of person I am. And if you have to choose between whether or not that is the person you are, that just shows society just evolving into utter chaos. I just want to make it clear that I believe that we cannot get to the point where it requires willpower to not be a scumbag. If that makes sense at all. Going back to what Bobby Jones says, you might as well praise me for not robbing a bank. And if you did praise me for not robbing a bank, maybe I'll use that good karma to rob a convenience store. Maybe I'll use that good karma to rob an old lady on the street. Maybe I'll use that good karma to rob a car, right? To do whatever. And we can't get to that point. So just be a decent human being, please. Thank you.